Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe e te kai whakahaere o te whare. Ngā mana whenua o Tamaki Makaurau, nau mai, haere mai, ki o koutou whare. No koutou te rā, no koutou te wā. Tēnā koutou e hui tahi nei i te whare. Ki te whakamana i ēnei kirimi, i tēnei piri. Tautoko ahau, tautoko ana ahau i ngā mihi ki ngā mana whenua o Tamaki Makaurau. Mr. Speaker, it gives me great privilege and proud to stand in support of this third and final reading of this bill. And can I say again a warm welcome to our visitors in the gallery today, to the families that join us via TV or listening through the radios. Mr. Speaker, like previous speakers have said, this is a great day not just for the people of Tamaki but of the nation in seeing a collective redress settlement like we have in front of us today. Mr. Speaker, just to recap, this bill gives effect to certain matters as contained in a deed entered into by the Crown and Ngā mana whenua o Tamaki Makaurau, the collective deed. Ngā mana whenua o Tamaki Makaurau is the collective name for the following 13 iwi and hapu, each of which have historic treaty claims in Tamaki Makaurau. Ngāi Tai ki Tamaki, Ngāti Maru, Ngāti Pao, Ngāti Tamaoho, Ngāti Tamatera, Ngāti Te Ata, Ngāti Whanaunga, Ngāti Whātua o Kaipara, Ngāti Whātua o Rākei, Te Akitai Waiohua, Te Kawarau Maki, Te Patu Kirikiri and Te Runanga o Ngāti Whātua. Mr. Speaker, the collective deed provides collective redress for the shared interests of Ngā mana whenua o Tamaki Makaurau in relation to specified tūpuna maunga, volcanic cones, mutu, islands and lands within Tamaki Makaurau. It does not settle any historic claims. Instead, settlement of the historic claims of each iwi and hapu comprising Ngā mana whenua o Tamaki Makaurau is progressing and in some cases have been completed through individual negotiations with the Crown. However, the collective redress provided by the collective deed will ultimately form part of each of these individual iwi and hapu settlements. Mr. Speaker, negotiations for collective redress in respect of the shared interest has been underway since July 2009. On the 12th of February 2010, Ngā mana whenua o Tamaki Makaurau and the Crown signed a framework agreement that included redress in relation to the following: vesting of certain maunga and co-governance with the Auckland Council over those maunga, a long-term right of first refusal over land by the Crown and Tamaki Makaurau, and finally a process for resolving historic treaty claims relating to mutu and harbours. Mr. Speaker, on the 5th of November 2011, Ngā mana whenua o Tamaki Makaurau and the Crown signed a record of agreement confirming the agreements reached on collective redress to be provided for in a deed. The deed was initialled on the 7th of June 2012 and first signed on the 8th of September 2012. Mr. Speaker, the Crown and iwi and hapu leaders of Ngā mana whenua o Tamaki Makaurau look forward to implementing the deed and legislation along with the specified settlements and hope that these will create a platform for enduring relationships envisioned by Te Reti of Waitangi. Mr. Speaker, like all treaty claims, there are unique qualities about them, and one that clearly sets this claim apart from all others is the fact that getting 13 hapu and iwi groups to the table. As a former negotiator of rongo whakaata claims, we had 13 negotiators sitting around the table, and we, unlike you, could settle in a collective settlement. So I take my hat off to you all that you were able to persevere and stay at the table. I know there would have been some compromising along the way, but here we are. This bill represents your effort and your commitment to seeing this day to its fullest extent in the passing of this important piece of legislation. So I want to acknowledge you in your fortitude and your commitment to the mahi and getting us here. The second unique aspect of this bill that struck out for me is the changing face of Tamaki Makaurau, and I don't mean that in terms of the people that are there, but the changing face and the recognition, rightful recognition of mana whenua, and then this gifting of these maunga, these motu, back into your care is not just the process of gifting it and setting up governance arrangements, but the unique part of this bill that I see, that sits out for me, is the stories that sit behind those taonga of yours and the sharing of them. And I can see the benefit that those stories are going to have on all young people who will be fortunate enough to be schooled in Tamaki Makaurau. So I can see, without a doubt, on that level, the sharing of your history, your stories, through all our schools, through Tamaki, is going to be a benefit to the nation. So I do want to acknowledge that in recognising the unique part of this bill. Mr Speaker, there are people that have obviously resided in Tamaki that have spoken passionately about this bill. I've never lived myself in Tamaki, but I know I've missed out a lot. But I have paddled in my younger days around the mutu of Rangitoto. In my outrigging days, we had a crew that went up, and it was the largest race in New Zealand. It was called the Hauraki Hoi. It was 70 k's, and we'd leave from Birkenhead under the harbour bridge and would paddle around not just Rangitoto Island, but all the outer islands as well. So it used to be a 70k paddle, and I'd like to boast that our crew from Wellington that journeyed up there was successful the year I did it. So that's my small claim to acknowledging you all in the gallery and the importance of this passing of this bill. Mr Speaker, it will be remiss without acknowledging colleagues in this House, obviously the Honourable Chris Finlinson for his hard work in getting us here today, to my colleagues on the Māori Affairs Select Committee, ably chaired by the Honourable Tau Henare. Mr Speaker, I want to thank all the officials that helped us get to where we were as a result of the discussions we had at the committee. But just in closing, Mr Speaker, there are two people here who know Tamaki way better than I do, who have made decisions to move on, and I want to especially go on record to acknowledging them. As a Member of Parliament for just over 12 months, I've enjoyed working with them, and that's Claudette Hauiti and Tau Henare. It's been great getting to know you in the short time I have. I'm going to miss you very much in your support around the Māori Affairs Select Committee, but I know it won't be the last time I'll see you, and I wish you all the very best. Mr Speaker, I commend this bill to the House. Kia ora.
I call the Honourable Member Maggie Bowrie. Tēnā koe.
Thank you, tēnā koe. E ngā mana